Hey there mate, welcome to this video, and in today's video I'm going to be taking you through step by step the perfect core routine for runners. Now the reason why this is specifically designed for runners is that our core connects to our hips, and this connection is required for a strong upright posture when we are running. Now let's talk about our core specifically before we get started, because often people think of our core as just our abdominal muscles, but our core is more the center of our body that surrounds our spine. So it is all of these muscles interconnected through our trunk surrounding our spine that stabilize the spine. Now, like I said, when we're running, we're in this upright posture, so we need our core, all of these muscles around our spine, to be connecting to our hips and our lower body to be truly functional. So when we're running and we're absorbing the forces of running, we have much more stability, meaning less chance of injury. Because far too often running is linked with injury, but this is simply from a lack of pre-preparation of the body. So if we have not adequately prepared the body for the forces and the demands, then we can run into injury over time. So it's a very unique routine that is going to be specific for runners, but also this is just going to help anyone in any athletic endeavour. So you can perform this routine once a week just for general strength, mobility and performance. And if you want to really push yourself and gain extra strength benefits from this routine, you can perform it twice a week. Now it's a simple routine with just a few pieces of equipment. So you'll need a yoga or a Swiss ball. You'll also need a resistance band or a cable machine, either one will work. And so this routine is comprised of 8 different exercises. We're going to be performing the first 2 exercises back to back for 3 rounds. This is to switch on all of the stabilizing muscles, get them prepared for the routine, and then the following 6 exercises we'll perform in a circuit, and that's the real meat of the routine that will build this strength and build this connection from the lower body through to your core. So let's get started with the routine. So for exercise 1, we begin in this hand and knee plank position. We are extending one leg behind the body while we perform this rowing motion with the opposite arm. Now as you get familiar with this movement, you can begin swinging the knee further forward on the way down to create a more fluid motion that is similar to a running motion in synchronization with the arm. Now for the planted hand and leg that are stationary, we try to push them hard into the floor to create full body stability. Keep your eyes on the floor with a nice straight neck, and we're trying to feel feedback from the back of the shoulder blade on the moving arm diagonally across the back into the hip of the moving leg. Now to increase the difficulty of this movement, we simply transition from our knees up to our feet. The same postural cues are the same. We're now just requiring more stability and strength from our hips up through our spine into our shoulders. So push the feet and the hands hard into the floor. Keep your pelvis level, keep your spine nice and tall, and create this nice fluid movement from one arm to the opposite leg. So pick which difficulty suits your current strength level, and you're performing 10 repetitions on each side. For exercise 2, we begin in this tall position with our arms bent at our side. We step forward with one leg, pushing our hips forward and pushing off the toes of the back leg. Now we rotate our upper torso by moving our shoulders and looking over our shoulder. We return to the starting position and then we repeat the movement on the other leg. Now we want to really connect from our feet up to our shoulder with this exercise. So focusing on the toe push on the back leg, feel the ripple effect go up your legs into the hips of that back leg, and then feel the wrapping effect. So we feel the muscles wrap from our hips diagonally up through our trunk into the shoulder in the front of the body, And the same thing happens through the back of the body, from the back of the hip, diagonally up our spine into the opposite shoulder. So all of these interconnected muscles are working in these diagonal and spiral movements. So focus your attention deep and try to breathe through every repetition, feeling the sequence from the toes, up the leg, through the spine, into the shoulder. Now, to progress this movement, we extend our arms out to the side of our body, and we can mobilize through the chest and the upper back, even more so now. You can make this movement your own. Try to make it feel fluid and under control. We're working on keeping nice and stable, nice and tall in every repetition. And like I said, feeling that connection from the toes, up through the legs, to the hips, through the spine, into the shoulder. This is a full body movement that requires full awareness of the body to get the most out of it. Now, as you can see, I'm swooping my arms a little bit more just to add my own flair to the movement. There is no right or wrong here. Feel out your body, make it fluid, make it connected. So you are to perform exercise 1 and 2 back to back, 10 repetitions on both sides for 3 sets. So just pause the video now, perform these exercises for 3 full sets, and then we'll get into the next circuit of 6 strength exercises. The upcoming routine is 6 exercises which are to be performed in a circuit. This means once you've performed the given reps in each exercise, you move on to the next exercise with no rest. For beginners, perform 1 full circuit. For intermediate level, perform 2 to 3 rounds. For advanced, perform 3 to 4. Exercise 3, we need the Swiss ball, and we position ourselves with our feet up against a solid object like a wall. We place our thighs on the ball and we wrap our body around the ball, placing our hands on the floor in front of us. Now from there, we drive our knees into the ball and our feet into the wall as we extend our body up into this half upright position, trying to extend and flex our muscles right through our back, in through our hips and our glute muscles, down to the back of the legs and our hamstrings and our calves. So this exercise does require a lot of balance. It may require an element of patience as well if you are struggling to find balance on the ball, but be patient with it. Use the arms as much as you need on the floor to reset every repetition to increase the stability of the movement, and we're performing 10 repetitions on that exercise. Exercise 4, we're on the ball again, but this time we're laying on our back with our feet on a stable surface. For this example, I have my feet squeezing into a kettlebell for balance. You can also place your feet underneath a couch or another solid object just to lock your body into place. Now find a comfortable position that allocates to your current spinal health. So if you have lower back issues, you may want to sit further down the ball so you have more support. Now, if this example looks too difficult, you can place your hands on your head instead, and over time, try to increase the range of motion on this abdominal exercise by stretching out as far as you can overhead. And you want to feel a stretch from the hips through to the front of the abdominal muscles, right up into your shoulders. So 10 repetitions on this exercise. Exercise 5, we're still on the ball. This time we're lying on our side and our bottom leg is extended in front of our body with our top leg pressed against the wall for stability. Once again, this exercise may require a little bit of patience to establish this balanced position. Now we're driving our hips into the ball and we're using the ball as a guide to wrap our torso down the side of the ball. And as you can see, my bottom hand is placed on the outside of my torso to focus in on the contraction of these oblique muscles. Now my top arm is just placed on the head for a little bit of stability and feedback. And we're creating these fluid side bending motions to stretch down the lateral side of our body from our hip to our obliques, we feel a stretch, and then on the way up, we shorten those muscles, contracting them and feeling a nice squeeze and connection down the full side of our body. So we're performing 10 repetitions on each side. Now for exercise 6, we're down on the floor. We have our bottom leg bent at the knee and our top leg straightened. Now our elbow is beneath the shoulder on the planted arm, and our other top arm is assisting in this movement, pressing into the floor as we raise our hips off the floor. Now the goal is to push the foot on the extended straight leg down into the floor to engage the inner thigh muscles on that leg. Now, once you become proficient at that version of the movement, you can take that top arm off the floor and remove that assistance. Now we are primarily focusing on using that top leg and bottom leg without the assistance of the hand. So we're driving the hips up to the point where we create a straight line from our shoulder to our hips. And like I said, the main focus here is to push that straight leg into the floor to create feedback on the inner thigh of that straight extended leg. Now to progress this exercise even further, we take the bent leg at the bottom off the floor when we raise our hips off the floor. Now we are really generating a deep contraction from the inner thigh of that straight leg up into our core muscles around our spine. So pick one of these 3 variations of the movement, choose your current strength level and perform 10 repetitions on each leg. Remember not to rush this exercise, pick the appropriate difficulty, as you can always progress to the more difficult version over time as you get stronger. Exercise 7, we are in a similar starting position, except this time both our legs are together in this bent knee position, and we're driving the hips up off the floor, raising that top leg up towards the ceiling to create good feedback from the outside of our hip muscles into the side of our torso. So we're continuing this trend of connecting the hip muscles into our core muscles. Now the top leg that is extending and raising up towards the ceiling is to create more feedback through your hip muscles into your oblique muscles and your lower back extensor muscles. So focus on keeping nice stable movements, and remember keeping that elbow beneath the shoulder on the planted arm to keep that shoulder safe during this exercise. So to make this exercise harder, we simply straighten our legs out and perform this hip drop and hip raise with these straight legs. This is going to require more muscular feedback and strength from our hips and our oblique muscles. And for the final progression of this exercise, once you become more advanced, you perform it with the straight legs, but this time we're now raising the top leg off that bottom leg. So this is going to require full strength from the bottom leg to stabilize the entire movement. This will require strong hips and strong core muscles. So just like the previous exercise, remember to play it safe and only progress to the more difficult version of the exercise once you have fully mastered the previous one. So pick which exercise suits your current strength level and perform 10 repetitions on each side. Now for exercise 8, we're using a resistance band or a cable machine. We're in this tall upright position. We're stepping out to the side. As we step, we rotate the handle across the body in this diagonal motion, up and away from the shoulders. Now this is similar to our warm-up exercise where we are making sure that we're connecting from our feet through our hips, up through our torso into our shoulders. This is a full body movement that requires stability and rotation through our trunk. So focus on landing nice and light every step. As you can see, I am tapping my toes on each landing, making sure I land nice and light, and I'm extending one leg behind the body on every step. This is mimicking the motion that happens at the hips when we run, And as we rotate the band across the body, we're feeling the connection from our toes up to our hips as we push our hips forward to create a stable pelvis. Then we feel the ripple effect rotate through our torso, up into our shoulder as we press the handle away from the body. Focus on a tall posture the entire time. Try to make the movement feel nice and fluid while also getting good muscular feedback. Now we're performing 10 repetitions on each side for this exercise. Alrighty, so that is the core routine completed. Now I just want to do a quick recap just so you are fully aware of how this program works. So to recap, exercise 1 and 2 are performed in what is called a superset, where the exercises are performed back to back with no rest in between. Okay, so exercise 1 and 2, 10 repetitions on each side for 3 full sets. Okay, so once you have performed those first 2 exercises for 3 sets, that's your warm-up complete. And then the next 6 exercises are performed in a circuit where you perform each exercise in a sequence, one after the other with no rest, following the rep range given. So it's either 10 repetitions or 10 repetitions on each side when we're doing those side-to-side movements. So for beginners, just perform 1 round of this circuit to begin with, gauge how your body responds to this routine. Then as you progress, become more intermediate or advanced level, you can start adding on more sets. Okay, right up to around about 4 sets will do you for a good core routine and a good core circuit. And so I also just want to leave this extra thought with you about the intention behind the exercises and the intention behind the movements. As I briefly touched on during each exercise tutorial in this video, is about the posture and the feel, the ripple effects that go through the body when we're performing these full body movements. And this is something we can start to apply to our mind and just our conscious awareness when we are interacting with our environment day to day. It does not necessarily need to be within an exercise context, but just how we operate and move about our environment day to day, when we get out of bed, when we're walking up and down steps, even how we're sitting, how often we're sitting. Are we performing resting squats regularly? Are we hanging from bars? Are we doing all of these regular movement patterns throughout our day to nourish our body and be more connected to our human anatomy and physiology? So I just want to leave that thought there at the end of this video, just to start pondering and becoming more aware of how you move about day to day, and where movement does not end in an exercise context. Movement is constantly happening as we operate our bodies day to day. So I'll delve a lot deeper into these concepts into future videos, but really hope this routine has helped you. This is designed, like I've said many times in this video, to connect your hips through to your torso, so you've got more fluidity and stability when you're running, so you can absorb these forces with more strength and more control when you're out for your runs. And it's just a pure joy to be able to enjoy the bodies we're in and be able to run injury free and really get the most out of it. So that's all for this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.